Press Start Podcast.
And welcome back to the Press Start Podcast. I'm your host, Vic, aka Mr. Never Chillin', and I'm your host, Vic. This is episode number 136. And I do welcome back my co host, Scott, aka Scobie One.
What is up, everybody?
What's happening, my friend? Trying to edit here the on screen production here, and on the other side, I do got Roger, aka Lunatic Oblivion. Welcome back, my friend.
Hey guys, how are you doing this week?
I just wanted to make the episode fun. We got to jumble around, act like we don't know what we're doing, and then we dive in, and then we just show out.
Ah, yes, acting. Yes,
Yes,
Acting,
agreed,
yes.
agreed,
Acting is key.
agreed.
But nonetheless, man, it's good to see all of us back here on another episode here for once. I just feel like I'm there for a while where it's either me and Scott, me and Roger, me and Roger, me and Scott, back and forth. But here we all are, and let's go ahead and dive into kind of what we've been playing. Um, Scott, I know you don't really have much of a list, but you got a game, you played it, you beat it. I'm curious to hear your thoughts on the game Inside that I beat, enjoyed. I know it's a cult classic at this point, but what was your experience like?
It's all right. It was really, really enjoyable up until the end, and then I just left very unsatisfied.
That means the game did its job.
Yeah, it was. Yeah,
It
I
left you feel
guess.
empty inside.
I didn't feel empty. I was just angry. I'm like, man, all that for fucking just
Nothing.
a nice big nothing burger. But while I played it, it was extremely fun. It was really fun to just kind of have to figure this stuff out real time and try to um hey, do I have to stay here and be silent for a minute? Do I have to run like hell? Do I have to figure something out? Like the way the game kept you immersed was really awesome. Even just for the 4 button game that it was.
Right. It was definitely very environmental, and the puzzles that
Yeah.
it threw at you were some pretty good puzzles. And there was a good
Yeah.
variety of them as well. But like as for the
It was
ending, the ending is pretty crazy because like it's all about putting the thought into your mind. Like, were you ever actually in control?
Yeah,
Is the real
it
question.
was. I mean, I was for sure in control, 100%. But was the outcome always going to be the same? Yeah, it was one of those things like, did I do something wrong, or is that just the way the blob rolls,
Yeah.
or the cookie crumbles?
Well, the idea is
Um,
like that, like your human awaited character that you were controlling was actually being controlled by like the monster robots kind of thing too, and to free
I
it
don't
at the
buy
end.
that.
No, well
I
that's
don't
the
know.
whole
Yeah,
purpose
I
of
don't know
the
if I
ending.
buy that.
Yeah.
Was to just get it out of there.
Mm.
I don't know. I would say that I would take another look and try to figure that out, but I'm not gonna. And I'm not gonna lie to you
Understandable.
guys and say that I will. But for the time that I played it, it was enjoyable.
Yeah.
It was very enjoyable. Some of the puzzles were super fun, and it was nice to kind of have to think on your toes um, when you were playing it, and just kind of. I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what like story it was trying to tell.
Hmm.
And so you're like, okay, what's going on? Like, what's this? Like, what is all this in the backdrop that I'm seeing? What
Yeah.
is what's going on here? Like, thinking that I was gonna get some answers. I mean, I guess you get some answers at the end, but even then, while you're playing that, like, there were some super creepy moments, like the underwater hair
Yes.
monsters were just fucking
And I have a
creepy as
fear of being
hell.
in water, and this
Um,
is reasons why, because you never know if there's a
uh,
creepy monster girl under
yeah,
there chasing you.
but I want to make I definitely want to make a point to like talk about the lighting, which was outstanding, and just the sound and the ambience and like some of the music that would play and just like how rhythmic sometimes it was and
Mhm.
like how just not I wouldn't say chaotic and jarring at other times, but like it made you feel uncomfortable.
Yes.
And so like it was total immersion, baby girl,
Yeah.
when we were playing that when I was playing that game. But the ending just kind of left me there going, huh,
Meh.
okay.
I
I was
Yeah,
like,
it's
I even
definitely
I
a
even
unique
stopped
ending.
and reloaded it, and I was like, maybe I did something wrong, and then it was the same exact thing. I was like, huh,
Okay. Roger, did you
all
ever
right,
play Inside
okay, cool.
and beat it?
I don't remember.
No.
So if I did, it was not a memorable game.
I mean, it's been out for some time, so it
No,
may
I
have got
didn't
lost.
play inside.
Yeah, it's a really enjoyable game. It's basically like from the game developer that made also Limbo. Limbo was really
Mhm.
good, and then like some of the developers that left that developer made Somerville, which recently we played and beat. So they all have very similar play styles. But nonetheless, Roger, let's talk about a game that you have been playing a lot lately, especially with community members of Lunacy Arts, and that's Satisfactory. I know it just got its it's getting its 1.0 release here soon.
In
How's that
September.
in September?
Mhm.
How's that game been? Like, I actually don't know much about it, so give me like a quick rundown what it is and how it's been playing for you.
So you are property of a mega corporation because it is a post-apocalyptic world where everyone's now exploring the stars, and you belong to a company, and the company has now assigned you to a new planet that nobody else has been to, and you get crashed onto this planet out of a drop pod. And the whole idea is you're building a space elevator to literally cannibalize the planet you land on.
Hmm.
Fuck yeah.
So,
So it sounds
yeah,
like a better version of the Ascent.
I mean,
That's not a that's not a
the Ascent's a post-apocalyptic cyberpunk,
Right, but it was the same
game,
kind
and
of
it
concept, like the corporation that
like,
owns you, and they like drop you and tell you to go do X,
yeah,
Y, and Z.
yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. I see what
different
you're going
story and
there.
setting. Yes, very much so.
that's
Yeah,
totally
that,
not a social commentary on capitalism and oil.
yeah, like
But
exactly.
why do people keep saying that?
Yeah. So, with the game, you get dropped in. You're supposed to get to the point where you can build a space elevator, and once you've built a space elevator, the goal is to literally give every big piece that the space elevator requests. But they're like really difficult components where you have to make a component to make another component to make another component to make another component, and you're also making three other components over here that make other components that make other components to finally work together for one component at the end. And you have to collect, 50 of them, and you're making about two a minute. And then the next time you have to collect 500 and you're making two a minute. But then you also have to collect 500 of a new item and 60 of another item. And then you're like, wow, I'm spending a lot of time running and chopping down trees just to power my generators. Okay, well, maybe what if I create coal power? All right, now I'm using coal to literally power my entire base. Oh, wait, coal's across the map. So now I need to figure out how to make giant power lines,
Mhm.
big power lines that go long distances. And there's just a lot of like just chores, but
Yeah,
it sort of hits that part of your brain that gives you like the satisfaction for doing something.
I
Like,
see
whoa,
what you did
completed
there.
something else again.
And what's nice, and it was weird at first, but it's kind of par for the course. Is like this is in the future, but you're doing all this for. You said it was what 7.25 an hour.
Yeah. That's what it feels like.
It seems very interesting. It almost has very No Man's Sky vibes, as opposed like without the space travel. Like if you settle down on one
Hmm.
planet and you're trying to scavenge all these resources, and sometimes you would have to go pretty fucking far to get these resources, and to build bases and whatnot. Because there's so much content that's in No Man's Sky now.
Hmm.
But this is kind of what this reminds me of, or even like a glorified like Minecraft as well, especially like with the mods, like thinking about like being able to go to space in Minecraft and what you had to do to even get to that point was pretty crazy.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I mean, this looks pretty cool. And the fact that it's about to enter 1.0. So I know as of right now it's an open end game, but do you think with the 1.0 and update it'll have like a
Yes,
true ending then?
there's a story mode that's like right now you're working through the story, but there's a lot of pieces in the game that are kind of they're marked as working in progress. Like you literally pick up items that are just called the item name WIP, all capital letters.
Oh jeez.
Okay, cool. So like
Oh yeah.
you can't use some of the items you pick up along the way, but they're there in your inventory. I assume once they build like the new expansion releases that one with 1.0, you're gonna probably either need to remake your game, or everything that's in the game will kind of be ready for the 1.0. But as you go through the game, you have to spend resources to unlock new technology trees that give you like
Hmm.
5 or 6 new technologies. But all while you're doing that, you're also researching things you find all over the planet. So like, it's a lot. It's a
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah, that is without a doubt. And it actually
Spent
gives me
like
like
8 hours today. Freaking
Pow
8
Power
hours
World
on it.
vibes too, like all those factories that
Yeah.
people were building in Power World, like and having to scavenge all those resources and then like unlocking the new like the skill tree to unlock new technology in the game. Like it has that kind of feel to it as well.
Mhm. It's
Um,
exactly what it is, but without pals to
yeah,
do the
without
work
pals,
for
yeah,
you.
you have to do the work. Yeah. But yeah, that whole gameplay loop can get very addicting and you just don't want to stop. So I definitely understand why you guys are enjoying this game. But let's go ahead and move on to one of my games I've been playing. I don't even know where to begin here because I had played a couple games I've been enjoying, and let's kick it off with X Defiant. Season 1 dropped. So they came new faction, really fun. Actually I haven't played with the new faction yet, but playing against them definitely changes up the meta because this is a faction that comes from Rainbow Six Siege, and they have the ability to throw down like razor wire, which basically completely blocks off like certain areas of the map. And just thinking in like Call of Duty, if you block off one of the lanes in a 3-lane map, that completely changes the whole gameplay. And so like having that is different in the fact that they wear these helmets, so there's no more like the headshot damage multiplier is like down really low, and you can't one shot people with snipers anymore with those guys. So like it definitely has changed up how the gameplay feels. But the guns that were added, pretty cool. Overall, it's a really fun experience. The hit registration is way better than what it was when the game first dropped into
Oh my
preseason.
god.
The net code was terrible. They're still working on it. It's not perfect. There's some times where I'm like, I was behind the wall. How did I die? Like, there's no way. So, and then hopefully whenever they add kill cams, like you'll be able to see that a lot easier too. But that just adds on to more complications and systems to a game that's already struggling with what it is. But one of their main developers, Mark Rubin, come out and talked about like their slight difficulty of what they had to do because they're making this game with the Snowdrop engine with you from Ubisoft, and that's the engine that's responsible for the Division. And he was like, this engine was built for an MMO. This game was not meant for a first person like arena shooter. So like basically they had to make a ton of new assets and make the system work for this style of game. And it's been a work in progress, but so far I would say that they've done a really phenomenal job. It's just I'm worried about them being able to retain enough players with the content they have laid out, because right now like one season's going to last for 3 months, and you only get one faction, 3 guns, and you get one new map per month, and I don't know if that's enough to keep people playing. You know, like the hardcore people like me that's in it for the grind. Yeah, I'm going to play it every day, but the casual player that hops in hops out, I don't know if they're going to hop in all the time anymore because I don't know if there's enough
Yeah, I
content.
won't. I won't. I'll tell you right now. It looks like Inhuman says that don't use quick resume, because apparently that makes the game act up.
Okay.
And up until I had said it out loud, I was reading it as resume. Uh, so
Yeah,
apologies there.
as lovely as the quick resume feature is, I mean, I use it even. I don't really feel like I deal with a ton of issues. Every once in a while, like there's some issues with dying with the net coding, but it's just not enough for me to really worry about. As like when the preseason dropped, I was like, man, this shit's miserable. Like I don't even know how I'm playing this game. Like it was that bad, and I'm like, man, I feel like I'm putting a whole clip into somebody, but it's just not registering any of these bullets. You're like, what is going on? So it's like no more of that at least.
I felt that every time. Maybe now I'll hop back in and see what the fuck's going on.
But shout out to me though, man. I got 100% of the achievements in this game, and this is the second game this year. I mean, I did it with the Paw Patrol game a few weeks back, and now I've done it with X Defiant. Yeah, there was only like 13 or 14 achievements, but hey, I'll still take it. I think I have like 5 or 6 games now with 100% achievements. I'll take it.
My man should have said I 100%ed Paw Patrol.
Yeah, man.
Get fucked.
Get
You're
fucked.
talking to a living legend right now.
All right, let's go and move on to another game. Scott, Pokemon Go is in both of our lists here. I've been enjoying my weekly or daily login of catching a Pokemon, hitting a Pokestop, blah blah blah, do some challenges, and just hop out. Just literally, if I'm at work and I have nothing to do, I'm literally just spinning it because I have a Starbucks, so I have a gym right there. It's all day
Right
long,
there, yeah.
and I'm just fucking shit up. Or like, unfortunately, like when we go to the hospital for like my daughter and stuff, there's like 1,000 fucking Pokestops and gyms at the hospital for some reason. Um, but yeah,
But clearly you're not playing there. Obviously you're at the hospital. You
yeah,
know, other things are going on.
yeah, exactly. Too crazy to hop
Wink,
into.
wink, wink, nod, nod.
Inhuman, yes, I can't wait to get to that game because that is on my list that I've been playing. But before we do so, Roger, let's talk about Kingdom Come Deliverance. I know this is a game that we kind of talked about a little bit last week. How's this playthrough been? is it getting you excited for the second when it comes out later this year, hopefully?
So I've gotten to the point where I'm kind of like not drawn into the story much anymore. Like I'm struggling to stay excited about the story, but I want to keep playing nonetheless. I'm just hoping that there's something that brings me back in, like more interested in the game, because right now I feel like I'm struggling to find motivation to keep playing.
Hmm.
So I put it down for a few days, but I want to go back and give it a try again. But it is pretty cool that like the start is always the same, but you kind of make slight changes here and there as you go. And I'm pretty satisfied with how it plays. It just doesn't feel like the story is drawing me in enough yet.
Yeah, maybe it gets to a certain point where the snowball just starts to roll and
Hmm.
gets going and whatnot. Because I mean, there's been plenty of games that we played over the last few years where you're like, man, this game was a drag for the first few hours of the game, and then when you get towards the like middle to the end of the game, you're like, bro, this story was really good, was really
Hmm.
dope. But it was just getting to that point was definitely tough. I forget what game it was we were talking about. It was just like, yeah, you just got to get through the first part, and then that's it. The game is just fucking great. It's phenomenal. But if the game would have been that from the beginning, it could have been a 8, 9, 10 out of 10. Like it's just
Hmm.
that it could be make or break the game, honestly. Moving on to a game, Roger. I actually hit you up asking if you played it yet, but it's the First Descendant. This is a new game from Nexon. It's a free to play looter shooter third person game, very Destiny esque, but maybe with like a mix of Anthem with the good parts of Anthem, I should say. And this game is actually quite enjoyable for what it is. Um, like the gameplay, the fluidity, the mechanics, the controls, the voice acting is pretty good. The way that they do cutscenes too is pretty awesome because it's like all like it's already rendered into the game, so like it's one fluid motion. Like you can't tell when the cutscene really ends until obviously the camera pans up behind you a little bit, but like it doesn't cut to black. It's not like super high def and then it goes to a different graphics. Like you can sometimes games you can see the difference between a cutscene graphics and then like your gameplay graphics. It's all one and the same. And I'm bet if something was falling right before the cutscene clicked, you would still see that character falling in front of you. Like that's just how the game is. But the grind is there. Like this is going to be a very grindy game, and that's why like I'm choosing not to stream it because I know like this game I want to be able to hop in for a few minutes or play for an hour, 2 hours at a time. So I don't want to be restrained to my stream schedule. So that's why I haven't been on stream playing it. But overall, it's a great fun game to hop in. It's cooperative. It has like the tower where you can go in and mingle with the rest of the community, or even in like the free roams area, like where you're doing missions. You'll see a lot of like it's like an MMO basically. Like there's tons of players just running around doing their missions. You can hop in, help them out because you also get like loot from it, or you can move on to your actual main story mission. I'm only about like 2 3 hours into the game, and so far it's pretty good. I'm curious to see where the story goes.
I'm kind of happy with that review because I've been seeing that around, and I was kind of really on the fence about whether or not I wanted to hop into it.
There's a
Um,
lot to it.
yeah,
Just
well,
like
yeah, I figured there probably was gonna be, but yeah, it's definitely something worth checking out.
and it's just like all the different descendants that you can unlock, like the characters. Like you get when you first boot it, like when you start the game, you choose from three different characters. One does like AOE effects. One's good with like grenades and crowd control. The other one's like just a tank. But then there's like ways to unlock different characters throughout the game, and like the first one that you're going to unlock is Bunny, and it kind of lays the path on like how you would unlock this character, showing you how to unlock characters, and then like that's where the grind really happens is like trying to get all the materials and the money and the pieces and everything to get these descendants is where the grind comes in. Or if you pay real dollars to unlock them right away, it gets really expensive because like you can unlock characters for like 50 $60 if you want to pay real money. But
No,
that's like the point. Like it's either you spend the money to eliminate all that grind to get that character, or you just enjoy the game unlocking the characters the way you want. Yeah,
yep,
exactly.
catch
You
me
unlock them
grinding.
as you go. So yeah, it's basically like Warframe. Warframe's another good comparison as well. So I definitely highly recommend it. I believe it might be crossplay, so even if you guys wanted to check it out and just play for a little bit, run through some missions and whatnot anytime, just
I'm down.
hit me up. But Scott, I want to talk about Warzone because Warzone has been on the forefront because there's some news apparently leaks that the with Black Ops 6 they're reverting back to the looting system and the backpack system of the OG Warzone. So with Warzone now, like, do you think it's in a good state or does it need that revert to the old time changes?
I think the changes they've made over time, y- you'd really have to sit there and put them kind of like vis-a-vis,
Mm-hmm.
like, and because becoming accustomed to how everything is now, um, of course I would say that that's better because it's what I'm used to. A few years ago, I probably would have said the other was better. So it really depends how they're going to go back into that. I like the system as it is right now.
Mm-hmm.
It gives you chances, it gives you options, um, but it could be an additional kind of piece that you have to think about going into this new game, and that can add a different level of um, really it could add a different level of thought to it and
Mm-hmm.
something else you have to worry about and care about. Uh,
Yeah.
that's really where I'm going to leave that because like until it's once again it's one of those things you can always say that your current system is better, but without replaying the old system and really kind of getting how they are.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Opinions are just like assholes at that point because everyone's
Yeah.
going to have one. Um, I like the new system, but then again, I've been playing with the new system, so I
Right.
mean, so is everyone else. I mean, as far as going back, reverting, I'm okay with that.
Kind of like a wait and see kind of thing.
Yeah, it's gonna be a wait and see. I'm okay with it. It's not like we haven't had it before.
Right.
Um,
Well, they're
so
going to
it's
sell
not
it
a
to us as a
complete
new
different.
mechanic or something. So.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. But I don't think it's gonna be a bad mechanic.
Yeah.
I really don't think it is.
Yeah. So we'll definitely see. Curious to see how Warzone just continues to evolve and whatnot. So we'll definitely see.
Or devolve in
Yeah.
this case.
Yeah. As it has in several instances. All right, Roger.
Evolve adjacent.
Let's talk about one more game here on your list. Is there one that you wanted to talk about specifically at all?
No, not really. Is there one that interests you that you want to hear about per se? Because the games are pretty much been the same for me recently. Haven't changed it up much.
Yeah, maybe just the Final Fantasy game. See how that playthrough has been continue to go for
Mhm.
you.
I'm really enjoying where it's gone so far. Like the open world doesn't feel open world. It feels just like it feels like an hourglass.
Mm-hmm.
You hit a big area, you go do everything in that big area, then you get funneled through one big story section that drops you into another big area to work on stuff. And I always find that like when I hit the next big area, I'm not dissatisfied with it, and it's not like, "Oh my god, there's too much to do." It's just like, "Oh, this is cool. Where am I going to go first?" And then
Mm-hmm.
it feels like, "Okay, I'm done there. All right." So like when I went to the Golden Saucer, like the idea of just going around and playing a bunch of the mini games, super fun. And it feels like Final Fantasy VII put a lot of effort into mini games when it comes to playing this one itself.
Mm-hmm.
Like I always love Final Fantasy mini games, but I feel like this game just does a really good job of it.
Yeah. Never played Final Fantasy VII back in the day. So were a lot of these mini games in the OG, or is this something new that was added to the game?
I actually don't know because I didn't play it either.
Okay.
I didn't own a PlayStation.
There was some mini games.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
then again, there's always pretty much been mini games at some point in Final Fantasy, especially since 7.
Okay.
Um, because like 10, I know 10 and 10-2, they've all had a ton of mini games. They've always been fun.
Okay. Yeah, so we'll see how that goes. I'm curious to see like what happens with Final Fantasy VII, like the obviously the trilogy when it's all said and done. Because like, does it come to Xbox then? Is the biggest question I have. Because like I wonder if it's like a timed exclusive, but the time exclusivity is like you can't have any of the parts until all three parts have been on PlayStation
Hmm.
at least for a year, and then we'll give you the whole complete package. Then like a year later, so we'll see how that goes. So last game I just want to talk about before we move on to our meat of the podcast is Doom. This is Doom 2016. This is Shoot to Win's Game Club Game of the Month, and this is the first time I've ever played this game. Well, I can't say the first time I played. I played it back in like 2020 for like I don't know 30 minutes. Dropped it right away. Wasn't really interested in playing it at the time, but hopping in now, like the game has that feel of like, man, this kind of starts slow. Like I don't really feel connected to the story, and then when I got to a point later on in the game because like I've beaten the first 6 missions of the game. There's only 13, so I'm like about halfway done with the game already. Um, you start to catch on, and when you start getting like more and more guns, like that's when that shit gets badass. Like being able to switch through all these different guns and managing your ammo types, and then like the wave after wave of the enemies that come in, and then like the enemy variety type gets fucking crazy at a certain point. Yeah, because like at some points it's like just one boss type, and then you get to a point where there's like 4 different boss type ones that coming at you, and I'm like, holy shit. But I like the little touches with like the abilities that you can pick up, like the invulnerability or like the quad damage. That like really changes up the whole battlefield. But yeah, overall, like the story's been pretty cool, especially like when you first go to hell, by I guess quote unquote accident, because like when you're in hell, your mission is to leave hell and get back to Mars, and like but being able to see that holographic story of like basically watching yourself get resurrected by the humans more or less because they brought your tomb back from hell into their
Mhm.
world, and then that's when you like obviously wake up and see everything, but it like makes that story come full circle. So that was pretty cool, and I'm really eager to see like how the story ends up going, and then like how it leads into Doom Eternal, and then obviously after Doom Eternal is the Doom Dark Ages, which is technically going to be a prequel to both of these games. So I'm really curious to see how this all just plays out. Roger, I know you played Doom 2016, right? And you said that you
Mhm.
weren't the biggest fan of this one, or were you more of a fan of this one over Eternal? I can't remember.
I didn't like Eternal.
Okay.
Eternal was just a lot of wasted time, it felt like. But Doom 2016, that was awesome to me. Like that was a super fun game. Like I just running ramshot over everyone, and at some point you're just like, I feel like the bad guy. Maybe I am the bad guy because like you'd start killing stuff, and the enemies are just like, "No, I'm good. I'm leaving." And you're like, "No,
No,
you
get
aren't.
back here.
Get back here.
I need to kill you.
And you
There,
just
there was
fucking dudes
something.
up."
There was something about 2016 where they turn their back to you, and you're just like, it's free open range.
Well, I mean, the fact that the game incentivizes like the more enemies you kill, the more like points you get to use towards your like your weapon upgrades. You know,
Mhm.
like you start seeking out as many of them as you can because like you can fill up like a 5-star rating, and obviously 5 star is the best. And to get a 5 star, you got to kill a shit ton of enemies, so you're hunting the motherfuckers. So I can see where you're like, am I the bad guy? Maybe I'm the bad guy.
I feel like the bad guy right
Maybe
now.
I'm overreacting. I don't know.
But yeah, overall great experience, and I'm curious to see how the back half of the
Hmm.
game turns up to be. But without further ado, let's go ahead and move on to our industry news. We could do got just a few topics to get to. All right, so I thought layoffs may have been done for the year, but apparently not, and it's hitting a relatively new studio. Surgery Studios, the developer behind Tales of Kenzera Zao, which is one of my favorite games of the year, is hit with some layoffs already. I guess the game just didn't make enough money. I guess not sure what may have caused them to get to this point, but sad to see that this young studio was hit with layoffs already. Brand new studio. You guys have any inputs on such a newer small studio getting hit with layoffs already, or is it just the nature of the game? No pun
It
intended.
just feels like par for the course lately.
Hmm.
Yeah, I would say par for the course, but at the same time, if you're that new of a studio, you're gonna overhire. You're gonna try to make sure that you have all bases covered 7 ways to Sunday. And then once you start realizing here's what I actually need to get my product, I don't need all of this overhead, you're gonna get rid of it.
Yeah,
It's unfortunate, but that's
and to add to
Mhm.
the fire
that's the
too
way
is
that's the way it goes.
the fact that this game was part of like EA Originals, so like it was kind of backed by EA as well. So like I don't know if money was even necessarily an issue. So like maybe they're moving on to like their next game isn't going to be backed by EA. So maybe like you said, they had to cut some of that overhead to make it understandable. Okay, this is all we need to make the game. Their our next game or whatever they have in the works. But yeah, like
Yeah,
you
and
said, sad to
backed
see.
by EA definitely means money, but it doesn't always necessarily mean good decisions.
Yeah, that's for
So,
sure.
as we've seen,
Many times, unfortunately. But moving on to one of EA's competitors here with Ubisoft, Roger.
Yeah, so Ubisoft Assassin's Creed Shadows. There is a petition in Japan that has been signed by over 30,000 people because they believe the game is floating racism and has severe historical inaccuracies. Um, It's an interesting stance. I'd like to dig more into it per se, because it just who's signing it, you know? Is
Right.
it really just laymen signing it here, or is it actually some people with some actual stance, like some, you know,
Yeah. Because
I,
like I don't know
I don't know,
about you,
like
but like
girth in the industry?
when I look at Assassin's Creed games, I don't look for like 100% like historical accuracies. Like obviously none of this is real. Like this
Mm-hmm.
is a video game based on some historical events that may have happened or some
Mm-hmm.
historical characters or like figures that were there. But like what we see in the game isn't really what happened in real life. So like I don't know why people would be so pissed off about it. Or I mean racism I can get, but like I don't know how like the game depicts racism.
Mm-hmm.
I think it would depend on the liberties that are being taken.
Not to
In
mention that, like, for many times, Ubisoft has come out and I quote, tried to be historically, we're trying to keep historical accuracy. You know, what was it, the crossbow that got removed?
Marshmallow said, "You telling me I can't jump off a watchtower and land in a hay unharmed? Well,
Not
probably
anymore. You
not."
can't. You used to be able to. Hey, look. All I'm saying is we used to have amazing hay piles. Okay, now not so much. You know, that's all I'm saying.
Oh yeah, so yeah, well, hopefully we can maybe dig a little bit deeper into this petition that's being signed. But I just thought it was really interesting. Maybe throw it into our podcast this week because I was like, is it really hurting that many people's feelings like this game? It didn't look that bad. But then again, I'm not Japanese. I'm not from. I don't understand their culture. So maybe it hit something a little bit deeper that we don't even know about. You know.
Mhm. And they're very much an honor society, like an honor bound, you know,
Mm,
they hold themselves into a different regard. Like, you know, you don't call people with titles in American culture, but you call people by sensei, kun, senpai, things like that. Like, there are honorifics you add to people's names, and so there could be the fact that just like they feel as though the game itself isn't respecting their culture, especially at that time.
yeah, definitely. One of the most known parts of Japanese history. That's for sure. And it's just like crazy to think of like all the games recently that have been set during that time where like people were asking and dying for an Assassin's Creed to be set during the feudal Japan. And then all these other games started doing it before them. And now it's like, are they a day late and a dollar short? That's the biggest question. But nonetheless, we'll definitely continue to follow that and maybe we can dig in and find some more information on that. But Scott, if you want to give us an update to Epic versus Apple, because they've been in the news for at least me and Roger the last 2 weeks that we've been covering them, so we'll see if they're learning from their mistakes yet.
Hmm, depends. Epic Games has taken to Twitter to call out Apple for rejecting the company's app submission, claiming that it's arbitrary and obstructive. So we've got some quotes from Epic Games saying Apple has rejected our Epic Games Store notarization submission twice now, claiming the design and position of Epic's install button is too similar to Apple's get button, and that our in-app purchases label is too similar to the App Store's in-app purchases label. They went on to say that it's using the same install and in-app purchases naming conventions that are used on multiple different popular app store platforms. Epic also said that it is building a store that mobile users can easily understand and is following standard design conventions in iOS apps. So they just went on and they said Apple's rejection is arbitrary, obstructive, and in violation of the DMA, and we shared our concerns with the European Commission. Barring further roadblocks from Apple, we remain ready to launch in the Epic Game Store and Fortnite in iOS in the EU in the next couple months. And what did Apple do to respond? They changed their mind and they approved it.
Yes,
They
it's
said, "We bad.
my bad.
Oops, we goofed.
We thought we
Again.
could have got that one past you, but I guess not."
Yeah, how dare you make your install button look like our install button?
This is basically this has become the equivalent of where they're like, yeah, we'll do it, but we're gonna complain the whole time.
Yeah.
Don't, hey man, you can borrow my homework, just make it look a little different.
Just make it look a little
So they
different.
changed get to install. Oh
But
shit.
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. Like I think like if I was to me that makes more sense to me is you copy the Apple's aesthetic because like you're on an Apple device, so like you want it to be like Apple loves
Mhm.
everything to be their own same aesthetic on everything they got. So like maybe Epic thought they were doing Apple a justice here and making it look like their app store, and here they're like, no, how dare you copy us? Because then you'll become
Well,
better
what
than
were
us.
they?
How
What were
dare
they
you,
expecting?
sir?
Were they expecting some big fucking square get on this device now button? Like, get out of here! It's gonna say install. It's probably gonna be in the same fucking place because muscle memory's a bitch.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. So yeah, we'll definitely continue to follow. I'm sure this will be a lot of more back and forth. He said, she said, fucking not listening. You know, it's like you said. There's gonna be a lot of complaining until this shit's all said and done. But let's go ahead and move on to the big meat of the episode, and that is the gaming news. All right, kicking it off here in regards to Xbox. Exciting news actually, Roger, is that we got to see the new operation for Halo Infinite, and that was Anvil Operation. Comes a new 20 tier pass. There's a new big team battle mode called Sentry Defense. There's a new map called Command. So there's definitely a lot to come with it, and some of the skins actually look pretty cool, especially for like the rocket launcher and whatnot. Are you excited to hop in and complete this new 20 tier pass?
I've completed every pass since I returned, and at this point, I'm not stopping yet. Now I'm excited for the game mode that was released this week because the the B2B Sentry Defense is actually what I think is going to be fire. I haven't tried it yet. I'm really excited to play it. After this, I might even just jump off to play that since my friends aren't around to play Satisfactory. And I got rid of the kid and the wife for the weekend or for the week. So
Yeah,
guess I'm playing Halo maybe.
yeah. Where'd you ship them off to? The in-laws?
To the in-laws.
Yeah.
Yeah, get rid of them.
See you later.
Bye.
Bye. But yeah, honestly, yes, a lot of these skins look pretty badass. If you ask me, like those helmets and whatnot, I was like, man, I could
Mhm.
use another
The
cool
fucking
looking.
Mohawk dude is I hate how gnarly it looks and how goofy it looks. I love it. Oh, it's gonna be so good, dude. I can only imagine Marshmallow's cosmetics with that helmet.
Oh, jeez. Yo, but yeah, I agree. I do want to make a comment on the new game mode because that looks really cool. And you ever been to like say Laser Dome down in
Hmm.
Lancaster? It's basically
Yeah.
that game mode because obviously the two sentries you got to get to them and shoot them and
Hmm.
get most points from destroying that, while the other team's doing the same thing and obviously getting kills in between adds points. And I was just like, that's basically what we're playing, just in Halo.
Hmm.
And I was like, why hasn't this been a game mode ever before in any other game? Because I don't think I've ever played a game mode like this before.
I have. I played it in World of Warcraft. Actually, has similar game modes for PvP. Yeah, go figure, right?
Yeah, right.
Like
A
World of
game I wouldn't
Warcraft
expect.
is yeah, like you end up going and trying to capture a specific point.
Yeah. So yeah, that's definitely badass. And then moving on to Xbox services, though, Game Pass editions coming out for the first half of July have been announced. In Journey to the Savage Planet, out now on all cloud console and PC. Nickelodeon All Star Brawl 2, also out now on cloud console and PC. Cricket 24 comes out in just a couple of days here on the 9th on cloud console and PC. Also on that same day, we're getting The Case of the Golden Idol, cloud console and PC. Next game here coming out on the 11th is actually a game that I've been interested in checking out. Now I have the chance to do so, maybe next month because games lining up right now are just going to be damn near impossible. But this is Neon White. This one looks pretty cool because like it's almost kind of has like some parkour, but there's like some first person action shooter going on. But then like you have this like card system also involved, and it just looks really chaotic at all times. So might hop into that one. Another game that I'm really interested to check out is Tachia, coming out on the 11th as well. But this one's coming to cloud, PC, and next gen only. So Series X and S, not Xbox One, but you can stream it on the Xbox One. Then on the 16th, you're getting Magical Delicacy on cloud, console, and PC. And last but not least, on the 16th is a game called Flock. This is another indie game that I actually was really interested in giving a go. It seems really chill. Turn your mind off. You're like collecting these different like uh, alien bird things, and you're flying around this planet, and you're building a flock. Don't know the premise of the story, but that's what I got from the gameplay. So, but we are losing some games, man. On the 15th, we're losing Coffee Talk 2 already. Figment 2, which I'm like sad because I just beat the first one and I want to play through and beat the second one of both of these games, which I'm probably not going to be able to get to. Sins of Solar Empire Rebellion is leaving PC Game Pass. Then Tome and The Wandering Village, which is just was recently added just a few months ago, and sad to see that one leave already. So there's a lot of games leaving that are pretty good on the 15th. But make sure if you want them, buy them 20% off right now since they're part of the Game Pass. Roger, you sad to see any of these go?
Yeah, dude. Now I gotta beat Coffee Talk 2 like right away.
Mm. Yeah, it seems like
So I guess,
Marshmallow shares our same sentiment here. Like, no.
yeah, I guess I'll have to hop on and play that with Jordan when she gets back.
Yeah, and like the only reason I really haven't really played it yet is because of like how long the game is, because it's like almost double the length of the first game,
Mm-hmm.
and that's why I haven't really wanted to pick it up, because I don't know if I have the patience to sit through just a game of just reading and making coffee for, it says 7 to 10 hours. The first game was only 4.5 to 5.5, so it's like that's tough to hop into a game that's not much going on that you may or may not fall asleep while trying to play. But yeah, nonetheless, though, that is all the Xbox news I do got for you guys this week. What is going on over in the PlayStation realm?
Well, honestly, it's just the nature of the industry is just happening over at PlayStation over and over again. So PlayStation, let's talk about their games. Helldivers 2. So reports are now showing that the player base has declined by 90%. Somehow they're still completing the objectives, but it just live service games, man. Even think about how well this is done as a live service game. Like,
Yeah,
fuck, Halo's garbage compared to what this has done in terms of like a live service game.
yeah, by
Halo's
far.
like, here's a free pass, here's some new game modes once a week or whatever. It's nothing. But then this game's just like, okay, we've got this huge thing going on. Here's all these new weapons. Here's all these new customizations and upgrades, and all of this shit is free.
Yeah, and they set like
And
challenges like to work as a
hmm
community to build against, and you're actually like, it's like the meta game is there too. Like
yeah,
you're like working in real world challenges to take in like in
mhm.
game challenges, and like they're adding, like you get to choose, like if you do liberate this planet, you get this, but if you go to this planet and liberate this, you get this ability or whatever, and you have to choose as a community which one that you're gonna try and get
Yeah,
more.
and the community can go left or right, and it's like, well, whichever one gets more attention is gonna succeed here. And it's like, it's interesting to see that some people may put a bunch of time into one objective and then the other one just not get the other one get completed instead. But like the
Be right
fact
back.
that this game is just like so heavily invested into, and it's not seeing like it's just not seeing the community base, kind of sucks. But let's talk about the other L's that PlayStation is dealing with. So, not PlayStation specifically, but like Sony as a whole was doing the Horizon Zero Dawn TV series based on Netflix was working with Sony to work on the Horizon Zero Dawn's TV show, and due to accusations against the showrunner, uh there's just there he's toxic, bullying, manipulative, and has retaliatory behavior. So instead of like getting a new showrunner or changing how things are working, they just decided instead that they're going to cancel the TV show altogether.
And I'm kind of sad about that because I was kind of looking forward to this because I played and beat the first game, really
hmm
loved it. I was waiting to get a PS5 so I can play through the sequel. Like that would be a dope ass fucking TV series. Like there's like a lot
hmm
of story, like a great setting. The characters are great, and it's sad to see that they just couldn't just get a new showrunner. I just don't like. There has to be more behind this
hmm
than what we're seeing now. For them to just cancel the whole show altogether, like there's just like what really happened. But hopefully it gets picked back up or renewed or figure something out later on. Because I think because like it seems like they're really invested into the Horizon series because they're making that Lego Horizon game, and it's coming to multi-platform. It's coming to PC. It's coming to Switch, the PlayStation. Like they probably have a third game in the works. Like the some of the gameplay is going to be inside the new Astrobot game. Like this is a main pillar of PlayStation now, and they just let a TV show just completely walk because of
hmm
nothing to do with the actual show. Yeah, we'll see. All right, Scott, what's
But
going
it's
on
got the
in
stink on it.
what's
It's
that?
got the stink on it now. It's
Yeah,
got the stink.
yeah. How dare get the cooties? Um,
Yeah.
but enough PlayStation news. What's going on over in the Nintendo realm?
So even though we already know the Switch 2 is going to be coming, we know it's going to be coming at some point here in the next year. Nintendo is actually still trying to crack down on the piracy of the Switch. So they've actually been working on two lawsuits that show that they're trying to make sure it doesn't go the same way as the 3DS and the DS, which towards the end were just pirated to shit. But their first actual legal action that they've taken is against modded hardware, which is they sold MIG devices or like flash carts, and the resulting modded switches, and they actually ended up they would sell modded switches with like installed games for like $600-700. But I'm glad to see they're still not giving up that fight, because if there's one thing that you can always trust Nintendo to be with, it's going to be lawsuits. But we do have some Nintendo Switch Online editions as well this month, such as Urban Champion, Golf, Donkey Kong Jr. Math, Mach Rider, The Mystery of Atlantis, and Solar Jetman. But in preparation as well for the Sonic versus Shadow Generations, they've actually announced Sonic's X Shadow Generations Dark Beginnings 3, and that's going to be that's Dark Beginnings. It's going to be a 3-episode prologue coming out in this fall in preparation for the October release of
Is this a game
Sonic
or
X
like a
Shadow
show?
Generations. This is going to be a show for the game.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Yeah. I like how like a lot of companies are starting to do that. Like they'll send out like a book or comics or in this case like a
mhm.
TV show that's going kind of like a prologue to set the story um up. So like when you do play the game, you kind of have like a foundation. It's pretty dope. All right, guys, let's go ahead and move on to talking about Ubisoft. Kind of continuation of game that I've been playing is X Defiant, and just some big announcements is the fact that it is now available to play on the Epic launcher and Amazon Luna. So it was exclusively on um the Ubisoft Connect app, which is god awful. I hate using it every time I play on my PC, but it's awesome to see that more people can play it on more platforms. I'm just kind of curious, like when does it come to Steam? That's going to be the big kicker. Also, a big time change that they did was double XP timer is now only counts in game time as opposed to when you're sitting in the lobby and you're trying to load into a game, it would count down then. And I'm like, man, thank fucking god! Like you would waste a ton of time because you have like 20-minute timers, and it's like by the time you get into a game, it's like you're down to 15 minutes already. And you're like, well, fuck.
Why'd I waste
Yeah,
it?
yeah, it's just it was brutal, but yeah, now it works wonders, and what they've been doing, like all the changes and they listen to the community so much, and they actually make meaningful changes as opposed to Call of Duty. Call of Duty will complain about the same thing for 4 months, and Call of Duty's like, well, how about this other thing that we just did for you, and then like have no one even address the issue that's at hand. So glad to see that X Defiant is actually listening to the community. But Roger, what's going on with Hasbro? They're never in the gaming news, but here they are.
Yeah, so Hasbro's has announced the release date for their new Transformers game. So we have Transformers Galactic Trials is coming out on October 11th of this year, which is interesting to say the least. It looks interesting, but it's a racing game is the thing.
Yeah, they quote it as a racing game meets roguelike elements with combat because like you can race, but then when you transform into like the walking version, like you're in like combat and you can turn around and just start fighting people and then like get back into car form and continue to race.
Hmm.
So I thought this was like a pretty cool change. Like obviously we've been getting a lot of like kart racers, like you got Mario Kart, Nickelodeon Kart, and Disney Kart racing and Fortnite racing, and but like they all do the general same thing. Like you're in the car the whole time. You collect the boxes that get you abilities, and you can shoot them. But like this one, you still have that, but then you can
Hmm.
transform into the other ability and just fight them like you're playing a third person shooter. So I mean, we'll see how this plays out. But honestly, this is leading into like what we could be seeing here soon, because with Activision Blizzard being bought out by Xbox, they had a lot of Transformer titles from back in the day that have not been available to purchase in a long time, and they've been relisted on the Steam. And You can't buy them yet, but the idea is that Microsoft's going to be adding the ability to buy these games once again, and they actually might a lot of these might be coming back to Game Pass. So like the Transformer hype is definitely there when it comes to the games, and it'd be awesome to see like a brand new like story driven Transformers game. Roger, you
Mhm.
remember playing any of them from back in the day, like the War for Cybertron or any of those?
I can't even remember the last Transformer game I've ever played. I can't even think of it.
Yeah, I'm sure you picked them up when you had GameFly at some point.
Mm-hmm.
My
That's a
man saying
No, you
game
know, you
fly.
say GameFly, and I'm like, yeah, I do remember playing it.
I'm sure you had them at some point. That's for
Yeah,
sure.
I remember them.
All right, Scott. Let's talk about some of the games that you enjoy and a game that we played there for a long time that we probably won't be able to play that much longer.
Yes, so Resident Evil, the next one, is in development and is being directed by Koshi Nakanishi, who directed Resident Evil 7.
That's exciting
So
news.
we've been littered with Resident Evil remakes and remasters and things like that, but it's been about 3-4 years since we've gotten a new one. Last one was Village, so exciting for that. Not much else has come out, but can't wait to see what they're gonna be doing with this. Who doesn't love a new Resident Evil game?
I can't believe it's been 3 years since Village dropped.
I know, right?
Yeah,
When I got my graphics card, it came with it, and I beat that shit in 8 hours.
yeah. Did you enjoy
I
the?
didn't.
Was that the game with the tall lady?
It
Uh,
sure was.
I forget. I don't know her
It
name. I've
sure
never
was
played
an
it.
yes. It sure was
But
an
that
yes.
yeah that was everybody's new mommy. You know. Yeah.
Yep, absolutely. Just goth mommy. But yeah, speaking of the game that we did play there for a little bit, Exo Primal, seasonal content has concluded, and previous content will start to rotate through for the foreseeable future. Not sure exactly how if that's going to bring anybody back or if anybody really left. But this is going to be all gameplay modes. It's going to be like the main Dino Survival mode, as well as endgame content such as the Savage Gauntlet and the Time Loop Rebellion. I know I at least didn't get too far into it to really get much of the story. So this might be a little bit more up your alley. For both of you who did play this game further into the story than I did, as far as like Savage Gauntlet and Timely Rebellion, if you guys had gotten that far.
Mhm.
But it really just, it's not going to make me get back into it unless I have a group of people that will also be getting back into it.
Yeah.
But what do you guys think about that?
It's sad to see like this game was off to a fantastic start. Like it had 1 million players within the first week, and the concept was there, but I think like how they were telling the story was like they kind of missed the mark on it. It was very Titanfall 1-esque, and like you basically didn't get much of a story. Like the story was
It
there,
was
but
a
it wasn't.
live service game. Let's just be honest. Let's call
Yeah,
a fish a fish.
yeah. I
If
mean,
it
And
walks
it
like a live
smelled.
service game and it talks like a live service game,
Oh my god,
might
it's a live
might,
service
might
game.
be a live
it
service
might be.
game.
But I'm glad that like the servers aren't being shut down. It's just you'll just play the same content over and over and over and over until your heart is content, I guess.
Or stops.
Yeah,
Good luck
or
trying
stuff.
to get any wins against the diehards who loved this game and stick with it.
Right, all the sweats.
Sweats.
Yeah, I guess I'll just be playing the game to unlock the cutscenes that you get from every level up that you get, or however they were given to
Yeah.
you. But yeah, I don't know if I ever go back to. I mean, if it continues to be on Game Pass, then maybe I can check it out. But I just have way too many games right now on my plate to hop into
Hmm.
this. But yeah, overall, maybe they can learn from this and make a Titanfall 2, but Exo Primal 2, and they learn from their mistakes and give us one of the greatest games.
Exo Primal Fall 2.
Yeah, there we go. All right, let's talk about EA again here, and this one was pretty interesting here. This is actually our last topic of the podcast, and this one is another update for Battlefield 2042, and did not see this one coming at all. I'm gonna get the trailer here up on screen as I kind of talk over it, but they are doing a crossover event with Dead Space, basically Dead Space remake, and I'm like, man, why weren't they doing content like this from the beginning? Like this actually looks really fucking dope. And like with the limited time mode, the outbreak, it looks like you're playing like zombies from like Halo or Call of Duty infected mode. And like the skins look badass. They look like they just copy and pasted it right from the Dead Space game and dropped it in the Battlefield. And like it looks like a badass game.
It's the crossover we didn't know we needed.
Not at all.
to be honest.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. Like I might give it a go. I think it's about to come out here in I think it starts on the 9th. I think it's around for like a week or two. It just sucks to see that it is like just like a limited time event and it's not going to be here for a long time.
Yeah, I think the reason they haven't done much like this is because they still have that core of players that still play Battlefield. So that maybe they might have had a little bit more of like picking and choosing about what they wanted to do a crossover with, and they just felt that this was right, and this might be the right time. Who knows?
Yeah, but I mean, we see the successes with all the other games, Call of Duty, Fortnite. They do crossovers with whatever the fuck they want to do, and it's like the best success for the game. Why hasn't Battlefield learned from anybody like that? Obviously, the game was off to a super rough, rocky start. I mean, Roger fucking refunded the game; it was that bad, and did not want to return. And now it's on Game Pass, so like you can always hop into it. I do from time to time, but um, maybe it gets added back to my console. Actually, it actually might still be on my console, and I can give this a
I
go.
think I still might have it.
Yeah, so I might hop in. I enjoyed like Battlefield. Like it just changes up like the like it's way different than Call of Duty by far. Like it's different, like grounded in a different sense. Like shooting people, like the scale of the game is different. Even playing TDM in Battlefield is much different than playing Call of Duty as well. But I beat the Dead Space remake, and I really enjoyed it. And now I get to play it in Battlefield. Yeah, I'm for it. So I might give it a go and be able to report back to see how well it went. But any other topics that you guys wanted to dive into before we close out this week's episode?
No.
It was a pretty
Yeah.
another short week. Obviously, we're in that lieu of after Summer Games Fest, leading up to Gamescom. So it's kind of just like everybody's don't want to talk about much. So we gotta pick and choose what topics that are readily available to us. But we do appreciate everyone that came through and checked us out live here on Twitch today, and anyone who does check us out later on YouTube, Spotify, and Apple Podcasts. But Roger, where can the community find you at?
Same place as always. I'm hanging out on Discord.
All day, every day. And what about you, Scott?
Hey, I might be a little scarce here over the next few weeks, but if I am around, it will also be on Discord here. My name just Scoby1. But if you want to see why I'm scarce or what might be happening in my life, you can always get a hold of me on Instagram at Scoby1, same as you see below.
And of course, you can check me out at Twitter at Mr. Never Chillin _. Threads is Mr. Never Chillin. Xbox is X Never Space Chillin. If you want a game, party up, hit me up there. That's where I'm playing a lot of X Defiant, Valorant, Battlefield, Call of Duty, whatever it is, playing it there. And I do stream over on my Twitch at twitch.tv/Mr. Never Chillin. Come through and check out my streams where I am currently streaming Doom and looking to stream another game here soon called Open Roads, which is a Game Pass game. I'm going to be playing that with my wife. So we'll see how that goes. But if anybody has any questions, concerns, or if you want to come on a show, hit me up on Facebook at Vic Brubacher. But we do want to thank everyone again. And until next week, peace.
Press Start Podcast.